Ninja, like Arya, would want to try and play wild stuff one time. We saw that a lot in spring, and it never always worked out, but he always looked okay on it. Now he's actually able to start pulling that back pocket trick out. You've got the reliance still of Corporal in that bot lane who can consistently support anybody, apparently. Even Urnyan, who was having problems, but they never necessarily fully lost lane every game. They just kind of had medium. So I do want to echo the fact of what Initial I said. It went okay. Day one's champion pool is wider. It's because he's an AD carry main. He's nothing special, I will agree, but having someone that is dedicated to it helps. Champion pool is wider. It's only good for AXIZ.
Okay. And only good for AXIZ. And one player for Rascal Jester, which had largely only been good for their team, was Cog in the top side. Then last game happened. He played a cannon into a Camille by DFM, and he went 0-8. Admittedly, it's against Ebby. It was on Camille, which can be a very lane-dominant champion when put ahead. Had a lot of support thrown towards him in the Galio, and also a lot of jungle presence from Steel as well. He's up against Urnyan, and we have talked about how Urnyan has been so important to the drafting phase. His laning phase has never been his strong point. What do you make of this top lane matchup, given what we've seen today from Rascal Jesters, and also what we saw over Super Week from AXIZ Sam?
I think it's partly going to be about jungle presence. Cog and Hatchimatch together did not really react that well to ganks. They ended up in a few 2v2s where Hatchimatch was a little late sometimes, or they would get turned around on. And I think in the 1v1 it's probably going to be okay, but depending on how things draft and what else comes alongside, if Cog is once again kind of left out to dry a little bit, I think he just ends up flipping it away a bit more.
Flipping coins, flipping the game away, flip-flopping on predictions. Maybe not today. Guys, who are you thinking is going to take away this last game of the regular split from us?
AXIZ.
Yeah, it's just got to be AXIZ here. They're playing as a unit, right? So
yep.
I have to give it to them. Their Super Week, they actually won games.
They actually did
win games. They won games again as well. Won games against CJ and Sengoku Gaming. Rascal Jester taking games, ugly games, against lower table teams.
And so that is what we are left with, two at the bottom of the barrel in a matchup we would have so loved to see in those spring playoffs, but were denied. We have it today, our last match from us three, at least in the regular season. So, and as we are a blast from the past, we're going to go over to the VOD now. So, if you or both have your fingers on that play button, we will begin in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Thank you so much, Nymera, for your hosting as ever. Good to be back on the cast, though, with Matt One. And we are into pick and bans here between Rascal Jesters and AXIZ. Rascal Jesters already lost the game today, but they are on the blue side, and they've got Cog, Hatcher, Mecha, Pink, Art, and Nagi making up their roster.
Yeah, and over on the side of AXIZ, we got Urnyan in the top lane, Hogla in the jungle, Gadiadu in the mid lane, Day One as their bot lane carry, and Corporal, as always, as their support.
And there are some picks and bans that started coming through, namely the bans. It will be the Bard away, as well as the Twisted Fate, two very high priority picks. Other side, though, is the Aphelios away from Art, and of course the Ornn, which Cog has used to some serious effect. Nidalee, interestingly, has been banned away by Jest.
And there we go, AXIZ red side ban Karma. Rascal Jesters don't
has been using it.
How does the bottom two teams figure this all out? And I mean, in all credit to AXIZ, I don't even know if I'd put them in a power ranking system actually as a bottom two team, but that's a whole nother kettle of fish for after Super Week AXIZ moving forward to before AXIZ. We see that set though locked in for Rascal Jester. You can technically pentaflex this champion. He's totally fine to open up drafts. I don't actually hate it. Most likely expecting it, though, to probably be for Cog, Hatchimecha, or Nagi.
Completely agree. AXIZ now looking to respond, and Rascal Jester getting horrible. They're getting horrible throwbacks. There is no Katarina ban, but there is the Galio locked in, and Galio into Katarina is quite nice, because the moment she jumps at you, taunt her, and that Death Lotus is swiftly wilted. If they lock in the Camille here, they will probably terrify Cog forever. Instead, thinking about the Ashe.
That's later. Yeah, Day One on the Ashe. He's been very solid on this Ashe so far. He's got some crazy win rate. Like, it's actually only 50-50 on this Ash, I believe. But he's actually been playing really well. Has an absurd KDA of 8.7. Like, he's just always around. He's always helping out his team. He's got great damage percentage. He's almost always dealing about 24% of the team's overall damage. So he's filling the void. It's working perfectly, and I like him on this Ash. Also, Engage Ash is just best Ash in my eyes.
Right, so Volibear also locked in. That's the two premier frontline bruisers locked in for the Jesters alongside Senna, which I know the LEC crew are beginning to view as potentially the top pick priority at AD carry. I'm aware that's probably moving into things like 10.15, but
yes,
definitely a stronger pick right now. You can do some work versus the Ash because you do have some range to work with.
You were mentioning about this Camille.
There
it's been locked in. Cog gets scared. It's like in using Intimidate. What were the Pokemons like? There was like Haunter and like any of the Ghost Pokemon. If you went against them, they immediately like intimidated your Pokemon or something. If I remember rightly, I've been watching a lot of
look and stuff can stop you running away and all that kind of jazz. Super irritating.
Yeah. And now that's what Camille does to Cog. It's just mean look, and he's like, you can't run away.
The Hex Take ultimatum's actually mean looks. You can't run away.
We figured it out. Alright, we can retire now, Initial Eyes. We can retire. We should have millions of gold given to us in real currency, not virtual. I'm just happy my queen, Poppy, my TFT queen has been banned away. AXIZ respect her. I appreciate that.
Taken off. Production is telling us Intimidate was anti-attack was what it would do. Be like a negative sword dance. You'd drop attack by 2 stages. Not bad. Mighty Enna and stuff used Gyarados. All that kind of jazz.
Was it like maybe a chop or something that had that?
Something like that. Either way.
Whatever.
We'll probably go back to League of Legends for a while.
So Cog can still... Well, this set can still be pentaflexed fully, because obviously the Volibear can go between 3 different roles of support, jungle, top. Obviously the Senna is most likely going bot lane. I, though, was thinking about crazy stuff recently, Initialize.
Do tell.
Senna top.
Okay.
I don't think it's good.
Okay, so that's fair. Neither do I. But why are you bringing it up?
I just have an idea of a comp that I've come up with. Rascal Jester have not drafted this comp. It's around Soroka comps, and I feel like a Senna Soroka comp. Like you put Senna,
double global ults for heals and shit.
Oh yeah, it's all about a global ult team. Yeah. It's all around that. We see Renekton, Arya,
and disagrees in chat. Look at that.
Oh yeah, he's not happy about this. Okay, Senna mid then. What about Senna mid production?
All right. Well, either way,
even harder no. So yeah, top's better apparently. I'm all right with this. No.
Oh dear. Well, here has been the Karthus lock-in. It has been a hot minute since Hoglet has pulled out the Karthus jungle, but it's here. Galio drops on the Camille ult. You throw an Ash out, you throw down a Requiem, and Cog should be shaking in his boots because I think he's about to have a repeat problem from the game he played against DFM.
Humour me, this could be old school season 1 Ash mid, Karthus bot with the Galio support.
Yeah, could well be. That's a fair point. Is a fair point. You've got to keep that in mind. Of course, Karthus in recent patches has largely been a jungler or occasionally a bot lane we've been seeing at certain levels of play too.
I actually really like bot Karthus, personally, but I agree with you.
Yeah, you're not blocked by the wave. You've got longer range with your Qs than most AD carries have auto attack range, and we have got Pink back on Katarina. He is the Katarina 1 trick. It will be locked in. Galio is pretty good anti-Katarina.
Yeah, I'm really confused why he's like, yeah, I'll play Katarina into hopefully the Karthus that's probably going into the jungle, so I'm definitely against this Galio. That seems horrible. And now we get last pick support. What does Corporal want to play? Just snap, insta-locks in the Nautilus. Doesn't care.
Another good option versus Katarina. There is so much CC to interrupt her when she starts trying to dash or throw down those Death Lotuses. That is pretty big news. Okay, so we've seen the team comps. It's looking like the Beef Balls plus Senna and Katarina for Rascal Jesters. Bit of comfort going on there. Whereas AXIZ have themselves Camille, Galio with a Requiem to back themselves up when they
I
set up.
love
Big Ray.
AXIZ's comp so much. I'm genuinely in awe of it. It does so much. You have so much engage. You've got the as you said, initialized the Camille Galio ult, which we've already seen work beautifully. We just saw, oh yeah, we saw that from, who did we see that where it was Camille always threw it down and then Galio came on top of them recently? Or is that a blast is that yesterday's games?
Sorry, say that one more time. I was
Camille ult and then Galio just jumps in on top.
We saw that earlier. DFM pulled it out against Cog.
Was that DFM?
Yeah, DFM pulled it out earlier today, in fact. It was our first game of the day where Ebby went 7-1 and 10. It was not pretty. Cog got eviscerated on the cannon where he went 0-8-2. Yes. All of that jazz. So Cog has just played against this earlier today. It was not pretty.
Not on the volley bear at least. So we got that slight saving grace. Volley bear is definitely a lot tankier and just has the ability to do it kind of just survivability, actually, I would rather put it, versus the Camille. It's not going to get pretty by any stretch of the imaginations, but gotta do what you gotta do, you know?
Gotta do what you gotta do. Also worth pointing out, unless he changed those summoners at the last minute, Pink was running Ignite and Teleport on Katarina. No flash for this champion, looking to use the Shumpo to dash around and still have kill pressure and the ability to get to these fights, but without that flash, you Shumpo at the wrong moment, you could be in serious trouble.
I think Pink's trying to pretend he's Karthus and Phantom Lord from way back in the day where he would do the TP smite Karthus kind of style sort of thing. Doing it on Katarina, unorthodox, but I mean, this is a Hail Mary game for the side of Rascal Jesters. We're pretty confident in saying that AXIZ are a better team at the moment than Rascal Jester. This is Rascal Jester going around and saying no. Okay? At best, you can tie with us, though the stats say AXIZ have a slight edge. Except for kills plus assists at 15. Rascal Jester just dominate them third currently in the out of all of the teams. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's not bad going, actually. And again, Jesters have got a certain amount of playmaking on their squad between Hachimecha, between Art, between
CP Revive Karthus. I'm so stupid. I miss Revive.
Oh, don't we all? What a useful summon spell, truly. Truly used all the time in competitive play and at all levels of play. I mean, it had to be removed because of its sheer strength, that's for sure. But, of course, you can see that kills and assists. That's kind of how Jesters have been able to, when they found something like leads, it's been through kind of early combinations, trying to find stuff. Hachimetra on Elise rings to mind. Hasn't really got them much in the way of success, though. Sat at 2 and 11 in the standings, and we've been over their struggles as a roster enough to understand where that's coming from.
Yes.
But the rest of these stats are not particularly pretty for any squad, though. Even so, it's still 1,000 gold discrepancy in the gold difference of 15, even if they're both negative here.
Well, and the experience difference is negligible, but it's 900, which is almost 1,000, which is a level at, if that's on one person, that can easily be a level. Or between multiple members at points in the game, that could be a level through 2 to 3 different players. That's just insane. And that's on the assumption that everyone is equal, right? If this is a normal game of League of Legends, they could be 2k down, their opponents can be net neutral. They can just be the baseline of where it's at. They don't have to be above the crazy stats where Sengoku were, where they're like plus 2k. And that shows the full disparity between some of these teams when you just get the raw stats. Sengoku had first place, right, in a lot of their stats. They were 2k plus, whereas sadly the Jesters are below. But we're about to go into the Rift. Initialize, as always. I love this part. Go ahead, do it.
Taking you guys away, we're on to the Rift for a Pride matchup. Roll up, buy your tickets to the last great fight night of the LJL Summer Split for us here on the LJL Officially Unofficial. It's just Pride on the line. It will be a knockdown, drag out fight. Pink is running Teleport, Ignite Katarina with Conqueror. Those are some fighting summoners right there. Who needs Flash when you can burn people to death?
I mean, Pink is committing to the jumps. They are fully committing. If they go in onto Galliado, they are planning to kill them. Galliado also, Spellbook, went for Flash Heal as their first summoners. I like that. I think that's really good against a Katarina who might try and kill me. I'm just gonna be chill, bro. I'm just gonna farm. You're not gonna kill me. My bot lane's got a Nautilus. We're just gonna ward. They won't die down there. I guess Hoglet's the only person where Pink could start just invading into AXIZ jungle. That's definitely an angle that Rascal Jester should be taking, as Pink especially aggressively trying to farm the lane and then roam off, and sometimes maybe even sacrifice some creeps in the mid lane if they can just prevent what's happening across the rest of the map.
Yeah, Hachimecha absolutely needs to get stuff done in this early game. He's got a certain amount of setup, particularly in top. If he can get things going on this set, then maybe Jess have a chance. If Hoglet gets to hit level 6 uncontested, if Uinyan then gets to put Cog in the baby cage, lock the volley bear down, bring in the Galliowelt, bring in the Requiem, then things are going to go wrong. Uinyan already off to a big health bar lead in this top lane. Precision Protocol level 1, doing a lot of work to chunk through that volley bar HP.
Yeah, Cog's already having visions of flashbacks from just moments ago where he's just like,
Not again.
I hate this champion. Why is everyone playing this champion again? And I hope for Cog's sake, in the off season coming in. I mean, we predicted it like this, so I mean, we're not alone with the community, right? Initialize.
No, we're not. We're there with them. AXIZ have had moments of brilliant. It's not been consistent. Pink stepping forward onto Galliado, but Hachimecha not quite in range. Will throw a haymaker for a scant amount of true damage at the very edge of that particular ability, and that'll be the end of it. Hoglet on his red buff, clearing as fast as he can. 305 is the mark for a good Karthus clear. Is not quite going to hit it, actually. Full clear, a little bit behind, especially with the blue buff start as well.
He did take
needs to work on his clear.
He did take a slight detour, and was prepared that Hachimecha might have been healthy.
Okay, there you go. In that case, I take it pretty well.
No. It's totally valid what you're saying, because obviously the optimal jungle path is obviously not just running through your jungle. No one's going to come and hurt you. Because Hachimecha was hovering around the mid side, and I think AXIZ were expecting that, especially with Galliado getting a second quote-unquote gank coming in. He's just showing himself into the lane. Now this means Hoglet just gets to run into his jungle and go, I guess I'll take your wolf camp or whatever.
Yeah, he's going to take wolves. He's like, well, that's more CS for me. And a Karthus that gets to invade on the enemy jungle and steal it away is a very happy Karthus. Infernal Karthus with those beautiful runic inscriptions on the ground on the queue as well. I really like that one. So Melee Waste's doing a lot of work there.
What's your favourite Karthus skin?
Honestly, I think it probably is the Infernal, if only because the effects are so nice. I mean, I like Karthus Lightbane, but I know a lot of Karthus players hate it because it makes the queue so much easier to read for opponents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a lot more defined on the edges, so people dodge it a lot easier.
My favourite one is Reaper. Just because of the scythe. Only the scythe. Anything else I'm less spoiled about. I just like how he has a scythe and he gets to run around as Grim Reaper. But that's a very minor thing.
Minor thing indeed. That was a nice devour to avoid the hook coming out of Corporal there. Day one taking some trades there. And that's kind of how Sediment Ash can work. You just get long range autos through the wave and you can stay safe from Ash in return because your minions block volleys. It's quite nice. Alright.
I forgot that they also did have the statue of Karthus. Oh, that's a good one as well.
Like that one gets super irritating because one of the spams is basically that you get the eagle core like you do on the US Rives one that I forget the name of, and it's just like you could just sit there going core, and it's up there with Mukar Alistair. Like we don't see Karthus enough to see that, but it's irritating, man. Like that skin really frustrates me as a friend of mine who plays it, and that's all he plays, and all I get is core every game.
But we won't have that game, thankfully. He has picked Hoglet picked a skin you approve, and it is currently the newest skin that only came out very recently. Karthus was a champion that went like 4 years without a skin. I'm trying to think of colour commentary things to say here, because not much has happened outside of Jester's getting that dragon that you talked about. So
they did get it. And Karthus is just taking 10 CS early on, which is Fantastic for the Carthage.
AFK
He's not
farm.
far off level 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's all Hoglet wants to do. He just wants to get to 6, because then suddenly he has global pressure across the enemy team. If anyone ever drops below 100 HP, 150 HP, depending on how much AP and everything else he has, he can just AFK farm, just get really strong. Who cares after that, right?
Roaming around here to try and catch Hachimetra in an awkward spot. That's the Haymaker use, not going to be alive, and down. The Wall of Pain comes down. Smite does go the way of Hoglet, who's now hit level 6 off getting the Grump. But there's not going to be enough follow-up to think about threatening with the Requiem, so instead it will burn the Flash of Hachimetra. It will get level 6 for Hoglet. AXIZ are out to a 500 gold lead, and their Karthus is online and ready to go with an ult.
But they died. They lost 2 flashes. They didn't die. They lost 2 flashes. Gadiano has got the spellbook, so that's okay. But Corporal lost his flash for all of that. That's not worth.
Probably not. I mean, like, in some ways, it's putting Hachimetra further behind. It's got 20 CS for Hoglet. It's not the best trade ever, but it's not fantastic.
Gadiano's just having fun. You can tell he's just having a whale of a time this game. He's just like, yeah, doesn't mean anything. I'm just going to spam Pingu. Alright, mate.
Just spam those emotes. The emote game is really strong if you get it right. The ones I've been really appreciating is the anti-DFM ones, when people beat DFM and just flash all the DFM symbols. It's like that kind of level of BM I appreciate. There's a very vindictive league here who've been very tired of DFM winning. Uenyan's going to take a Sky Splitter to the face. The tack sweep did slow down Cog originally, but the hook shot was saved, and Uenyan just gets to walk away. In the mid lane, even enough, but obviously Katarina as a melee matchup walking into Galio, who's got Paul, is a bad experience.
There's a 10 CS advantage mid. Yeah. The CS advantage in the jungle has now got ballooned into 20. What is worth noting is we haven't actually mentioned it much. You briefly talked about, obviously, that Senna might become like one of the top 8 bot lane carries at the moment in the meta, depending on how things are going moving forward. Obviously now fasting Senna is less of a thing now, especially on 10.15, as we've seen throughout the other regions. Farming Senna, traditional Senna, is now becoming far more of a more common pick and commonplace now. And this is exactly what Ard is actually doing. He's farming on Senna. It's weird to see a Senna farming. I'm so not used to that. I'm just used to her like pinging people and grabbing their souls. Hoglet stealing a blue buff. Cheeky.
Walks in, of course, he's got himself up to that Runic Echoes, and he's going to walk straight over to this Rift Herald. He's got Flash, but Cog's actually going to come around and spot him. Just be a bit wary here. There's the Wall of Pain to slow down. Flash out from Hoglet. Didn't want to sit there and take a Thundering Smash to the face, but now Uenyan coming down, lurking maybe to help out here, and Hoglet's not left the Rift Herald alone. Gary Arrow's roamed up, Corporal's coming in, and the zoom out is showing. Everybody is beginning to turn out. Pink is there, but slowed on the Wall of Pain. Does avoid the lay wastes for now, but now Uenyan has got level 6. Who is he going to go in? But it's Corporal who finds the Dredge Light, and that is a railgun that saves the life for a moment, but it's Corporal who gets first blood. Pink dashing around, trying to get a kill, get a reset, finds nothing but the Ignite, gets the double. I take it back, and Hoglet was down into his life beyond death for a little while, but it wasn't enough. Now Uenyan locked in place, and Rascal Jesters find 3. And they'll get the Herald. Too aggressive from AXIZ.
3 for 1. Yeah, that was really aggressive from AXIZ. I think they got a really nice pick, but after that they should have thought about engaging. What is worth noting is Day 1 decided to stay down in that bot side. He's getting a lot of farm, and depending on... This is going to be at least... It looks like 2 waves. I think both of those waves will be going down as we go into this replayers. We've got the farming just in the bot lane. This was great engage, and it sucks a little bit that Volibear came in. That ultimate, though, from Gadianu might have actually been the fight decider, because Pink was able to reset their kill here. Nagi was then able to protect Pink by putting him inside the Time Cage, which I actually didn't think saved you. I thought you still took the damage from cards. I guess I'm wrong. Then Uenyan tries to get Pink. He gets away. Thankfully, though, with a Senna there, you get the additional hailing, and it doesn't matter.
And Pink is now 3-0-0 on this Katarina. You wanted how do you get into this game if your Rascal Jesters have Katarina get going? She's now 3-0, but now Cog is in trouble. Goes down to a smite from Hoglet alongside a well-timed Q. Dead goes the Volibear, and Cog once again having a rough time. 0-2-0. Hachimecha will roam over to start up the second Drake of the game for the Jesters, looking to trade on the opposite side of them.
So we got a 50-50. Is it going to be a good rift or is it going to be a bad rift initialized? Which do we think is it going to be? It's a bad rift.
The Jesters were going to have to hope for not a Cloud Soul.
You were telling me, initialize, about a trick now that in the top right-hand corner...
Top left-hand corner, yeah.
Top left-hand corner, apologies. Yeah, the top right-hand corner is the red team's base. That wouldn't make much sense. Or that would be a very polarizing advantage for red side. That you now can just have a look at what's going on, and I'm like, I'm still okay.
No, it's all right.
I'm still slightly flabbergasted that that's even a thing. Because of the amount of players that are in this game and how active Reddit is, Discord, and all the other social media services, I'm amazed that it took this long for it to actually be a thing, really, or to become known information, right? It's not something that Riot would put in the patch notes. Why would they?
Yeah, it's not been like as far as we know, it's been sort of confirmed. It's like a little Easter egg thing, but it does mean that potentially you can keep an eye on what that rift will be. Either way, it's Cloud Rift, which is not bad for Hachimecha, not bad for Cog, but bluntly, the rest of Rascal Jesters don't use that ultimate all that well. You use the Cloud Cell all that well, which is a little sad for them.
The movement speed, though, is nice for Katarina.
Yeah, well, it is indeed. And bluntly, like, more cooldown on her ultimate, which is so much of her dependency in fights, is pretty nice. So you always want that. She's up to Gunblade at 12 minutes into the game, and that is a serious point of concern. Cog does not quite find the Sky Splitter, gets the shield and trades back okay onto Uinyan, but the hook shot was there to Uinyan danger. Pink roaming around is still on vision, but will force Day 1 and Corporal away from this tower in the bot side, and that will be a 4th plate for Art. They used the Rift Herald to play down there earlier as well to pick up a couple of those, so Art on this center getting funneled a lot of gold on in this early game.
Yeah, a lot of gold going over. Part of the reason that Day 1 and Corporal are able to play so safe is they've just got a hit a ward, just chilling exactly where Hachimecha and Pink have just been running to and from a bunch, right in the middle of the river, not in the place that they're expecting it, right where that plant is, has basically saved both their lives countless times. It also wasted a lot of time for Hachimecha and Pink, because all the gold and experience and everything was still only going over to Art and Nagi, which just exactly is what AXIZ are okay with. They're like, that's fine, because if the rest of the time, and if everyone else is okay and pulling big advantages, it's okay. We can make this work still. As long as we don't die, that's when it gets awkward. I also just learned from production a new trick about how Karthus works, and that tethers are different because of how they interact with champions as opposed to Karthus, because it comes down from the sky, it's not the same. I'm a bit confused on how the game engine fully works and how it's deciding it, but it's to do with, like, obviously tether being different to how the Karthus ultimate works.
Similar interactions with Elise Repel as well. Like, you still have the tether from LeBlanc on that, which is...
Wait, I thought Repel got away from...
No, it doesn't. No,
does it not?
Gets you away from Karthus, it does not get you away from a continued one. So, if the tether has already landed, then you're already in trouble.
Yes.
If it's a new instance of damage, you can escape from it. Because remember, the ultimate is just an indicator. You don't get the damage until it loads or until it's actually procced. Even in turret gold, though the first turret did go the way of the Jesters on the bot side, all that plate gold was indexed into Art, which is good news for the center. And we're sitting at a pretty even game state here. It's about 200 gold lead towards the Jesters, but decent farm leads for AXIZ, particularly in that jungle where this Karthus is up to 130 CS in 14, nearly 15 minutes, which is pretty damn absurd from the jungle.
It really is absurd. This Cloud Rift, this Cloud Drake is going to be up in 15 minutes, but I think both teams are far more interested in probably the Herald. I guess for the Jesters, it's nice to get that, because Elder Drake might be a way that they can win this game. They have still, though, got an even gold, even with so much of this gold being on Pink, and Art at the moment, still very, very even, and I'm wondering, I'm just not sold at the moment on Rascal Jester being able to competently team fight when AXIZ just slightly lost a 4v5, and I'm just a little bit concerned for them that if Day 1 was in that last team fight that we saw them lose, They probably
Could
just
have been closer.
clean them up and just ace them
It's
at that
possible.
point.
Ooh, Uenyan flashes to find the Hextech Ultimate. There's the Death Lotus. There's the shield, but it's just not enough. Gary Aru teams up with the Requiem from Hoglet, and they find the kill onto Pink. That is a shutdown that goes the way of that Camille as well. Fantastic news for AXIZ, who now will break the dragon stacking as well.
Yeah, and 300 gold over onto Uenyan as well. Hugely important to keep this Camille going. Pulling more advantages going forward. Basically, the whole idea of what AXIZ want to do moving forward now, especially through Uenyan and this Camille, is just to prevent anyone from doing anything. And Uenyan can just have a free lane anywhere on the lane, anywhere in the game. Why not? Just AFK push, win lane, win game. Maybe initialize. Can they win the game?
They've certainly got to try. I mean, like, AXIZ have found themselves a great team fighting comp. They have got to be very scared of this team fight Katarina. They did a good job of shutting her down there. And it's not the easiest comp to play Katarina into. We've been over that before. That said, I refuse to ever count out a Katarina, especially if she's already hit her breakpoints early on into a game. She's just able to run over team fights at the end of things that you just wouldn't otherwise expect. And Art's done a pretty good job of getting the 2 items early into this game as well. So there's room for the Senna to do a lot of work. That said, I completely agree. I think AXIZ have got the advantage going into this game. That Karthus is up 50 CS, has got himself up to that 14 guys as well. Like, there is so many ways for basically AXIZ to put down the baby cage, put down the Galio, put down the Requiem and blow someone up, and then you're in a 4v5 for the rest of that fight.
Yeah, and then you can just continuously do this over and over and over again if you are on the side of AXIZ. You can just have your Camille split push with a TP up. The rest of your team can either come and assist either with Gadiada with the Notta, well, with the ultimate there, with the hero's entrance, or you can just rotate around. This Katarina is going to have an awful time, as we've mentioned multiple times. Every member outside of Hoglet has a way of disrupting her ultimate, which is just so backbreaking in one form or another. The opportunity to get away with it is going to be difficult, but not impossible, as we already saw one team fight going that way. Herald has been summoned, and this turret's been locked. Oh no!
Is the Devour now burnt? Art is now out, but the depth charge is down, and Uenyan is going in the back. There is the Hextech Ultimatum. There is the Galio Hero's entrance, and it will be a less than heroic exit for Uenyan, who falls down to the volley bear. Tom Kench falls as well, and the fight continues. Look at Pink, he's gone golden, but does not manage to get the reset critically. Corporal running away so low, but Senna finds the kill. The last embrace lands, but Hoglet manages to stay alive, defying death a little bit more aptly than his passive, but those lay race are insane! Forces a flash out of Art just because of the raw damage that was being put out. There is a Requiem still, though, and it is a Requiem to the very dead Katarina and Senna.
This is why Karthus is a fun and interactive champion. I will go ahead and say, well done, Hoglet. You basically solo killed Art in that team fight. Good job, buddy. Part of my problem for that team fight, I praise AXIZ, but if anything, Rascal Jester's played it better in my eyes. Herald comes in, hits this. Now look at where AXIZ are. Three of their members are all grouped around. All 5 members are here. Galio comes in. The problem is it's just a bit too late, and the rest of AXIZ come in so delayed afterwards. If they went in when Uenyan went in, because then you had Galio to follow you up immediately. You already know the hero extensions is coming in. It was phenomenal. Well played by Rascal Jesters. It's unfortunate, though, that Hoglet just said, no, we're not losing this team fight with the numbers game. It doesn't mean anything to me. 1, 2. Oh, wait, no, that one. There's 2. He Kobe's his way, tries to go for 3. Does actually force the flash as well off of Art. And then, look at this.
The last volley catching Pink puts him into execute range. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to buffed Karthus, whose Q does 70% AP damage, up from 60% on single targets, and nearly 5,000 damage in a team fight. Tells you exactly how much work he's doing. He's got himself Leandries, or working towards it right now as well. Just so much team fight DPS. This Karthus is pretty damn disgusting. Saw some decent work out of Pink and Art, but it's kind of matched by Gadiadu in day 1, and we've been over the Karthus already.
We have been, and this The table here describes exactly what I was meaning by the side of AXIZ not backing up Eunyan. Eunyan went in, threw down the ultimate, and no one from AXIZ came in and helped. Which only meant he did 500 damage in that fight. Thankfully, Hoglet was able to clear a lot of that up, as well as Gadiadu in day 1 eventually doing some damage. But Corporal dealt more damage in that last team fight than Eunyan did. That's not right. That means someone in the team played wrong. It's either Eunyan or the rest of AXIZ. I'm preferred to believe because the teleportation call came in, the rest of AXIZ didn't back him up. But he's going
He's back in the cage. He's got no way out. He's got no stopwatch. He's just dead. That was a great Farsight that spotted him out. The fight continues. Eunyan flashes out and survives. The railgun won't claim his life. And AXIZ get to retreat with 1 kill to the name. Eunyan does not have teleport, but it will still be the health bar advantage. Hoglet will start up this Drake, soloing it out. There's the false sight alteration coming out as well to spot it out before it is invalidated by the pink ward, but it's all too late. Second Drake for AXIZ, and cooldown reduction on ultimates when you are looking at ultimate dependent teams. Camille, Karthus, Galio are all looking to start fights with their ultimate, or rather end them in the case of Hoglet. So being able to reduce that cooldown sounds like a pretty great deal for AXIZ right now.
Yeah, and a lot of the cooldowns over on the side of AXIZ are rather long. Let's have a quick goosey gander, though, over at the XP levels. This is a point I made in our previous game. That also...
Jungler. My days.
I mean, Hoglet's just ahead of everyone by a while, except for... And then you have Gadiadu, Eunyan, and Day 1, all very high in the standings. Then you look at Corporal. Corporal is level 8. He is not here for experience for his team. He is there to engage, do exactly... dissuade and distribute the rest of the team. Hopefully not die, but if he dies, as long as he gets an ignite down, it doesn't matter. He's only got 4k gold. He's got basically the same amount of gold as Nagi. He's 2 levels down, which only is pushed day 1 up 2 levels, or at least a level over Art, which is all they matter. You want to have your champions hit their breakpoints, and when you're a Nautilus, you don't care. Yes, it'd be nice to get level 9 for 5 levels into your dredge line. It doesn't matter because the amount of damage you're doing isn't important. But what's worth looking at is something that Art has done, and he's gone for this Umbral Glaive initialized.
Yes, alongside, of course, the Transformer Romana and the Black Cleaver. Umbral Glaive, lethality item, not as much lethality as a Ghost Blade or a Dusk Blade, notably, but better vision control. And when you're kind of getting your Katarina picked off because of good vision, sounds like a good way to at least try and retain some control. Black Cleaver, no, I know, is a bit more of a suspect choice. Senna doesn't stack it all that quickly. Volibear's gone towards it as well. So there's at least chances to stack it up together to get to max stacks. But actually, it's a lot of AP damage. Set's doing mostly true damage. It's not really, I think, the absolute most efficient call here. Either way, gone towards it. And it is more HP, which is something when you are really afraid of hitting that execute threshold versus Hoglet.
I think it must also partly be for the cooldown reduction that you do
That's
get
20% cooldown reduction.
Black
Quite nice.
Cleaver. Like that's the health makes sense. The cooldown makes sense, and obviously it's some damage. And the unique, obviously, that it has. But I imagine you're going to get
Right, Hachimechi's in trouble, had to backstep the arrow, but it's just gone. He's completely deleted, eviscerated from the map. There is nothing left but a corpse. And it's another kill as the Baron is live. And I'm just putting this out there. That Karthus with a completed Leandries, with a Near Morello completed versus the Senna, who would love to be healing up for people, could probably help take this Baron at 24 minutes into the game. They've got Blade of the Ruin King on Ashe as well. Jungler dead, they might think about it, or at least look to contest, but no, they just pull away. Alas, my musings lead to nothing.
I mean, the other reason I just forgot, but obviously you do get the Phage proc through the Black Cleaver. That's probably also beneficial for Art to just kind of play around the rest of his team. Because Senna is pretty awkward in some spots with engage and disengage, obviously you do get your ghosty form. I don't even know what that ability is called, but it's ghosty form, Senna.
It's Curse of the Black Myth.
Ghost form. I've even just recently got a document which has every single champion and their abilities, and I'm like, ghost form. Ghost form. I think, no, I'm trying to justify the Black Cleaver, but no, I can't. I can bring up reasons why they've done it. I don't like it. It doesn't matter. There are
better options.
Yeah, there are miles better options, but that's where they've gone. And it might be a slight problem as AXIZ are now almost coming up to a 4.5k gold. Well, they are at a 4.5k gold lead now.
Pretty good here,
idea.
It's looking pretty good, and things are starting to fall apart here. 3 turrets to 2, big CS advantages in a number of places, like mid lane again. Katarina's not find as much farm safely in the side lanes when Camille can just jump on her and bring in the whole crew, and Katarina has no way of getting out of that ultimate. Hoglet is really the massive recipient here as well. He's up 80-ish CS versus his opponent. He is the highest level in the game, tied with his solo laners. And you don't see that very often from a jungler. That tells you a lot about how Karthus plays, and B, how well it's been going thus far. They're going to try and gank him right now. There is the Abyssal Void, the Flash Thundering Smash, but Cog does try and finish off Hoglet, but he does so much damage before he finally falls. Here comes the Requiem. No kill secured, because, of course, the Devourer is there to save the life of the low health Hatchemetcha. And it is Pink who picks that one up, but all the while, Uinyan gets some time alone in the top side, picks up a tier 2, and starts a little bit of work on the tier 3.
Yeah, Unyan just being left alone is really solid for him. It's interesting to see the interaction, the Tom Kench working exactly as it said on the tin. Nagi having an okay game. I mean, half the time Nagi's just been a glorified get one person out of Hoglet's ult to save them, which isn't bad, but the rest of what he's been doing has been rather suspect at the moment. That ult was definitely not ideal. I think it was max range, but at that same time it was not the best location to be coming in, really. You can also be spitting out your carry in a much better location, not on top of you.
Either way, it's all said and done. Katarina here has got her way to a Zhonya's, worth pointing out a little bit more ability to survive.
And that
ridiculous burst that can come alongside the Oblivion Orb for the flat pen. That is good news as well. Pink, who's kind of looking like a little bit of a shining light here for the side of Justice, alongside the Santa, who has reached her 4th item of rapid fire cannon already. So she is more than ready to go. I've not seen what stack she's on in a little while, so don't know where that particular mechanic is at. But worth keeping our eye out for. Other side though, 3 items for this Ashe, who's doing well. 2.5, let's be fair, the Hex Drinker doesn't really count, but most importantly, it's 3 items for Karthus, who is at an absolutely unreal point of strength. Uinyan here, about to get ganked. Cog looking for something, but Uinyan does get to hook shot away. Having Ashe and Camille in the same game is a play-by-play's nightmare this way. You need to be so careful about phrasing that correctly. Uinyan, though, is about to get flanked again, hit level 16, going to try and get away, but is going to find a Sky Splitter and a shield to his name. Pink looking to get in. It will be the flash out of Uinyan, but this is just giving credence to AXIZ starting up this Baron. They have so much damage. It's already down to half HP. It's forcing the teleport out of Pink. But he's going to find his way onto what's been interrupted. It's never going to even matter. Look at the back end of the fight, though. Corporal goes down to Hatchemetcha. Uinyan is here, gets on to Pink, who's gone golden, but then comes the Requiem that does a lot of work, and Pink left out to dry by his team. AXIZ fend off the engagement thus far, but there is the Hex Egg ultimate, not burned as yet. The ultimate's coming out as Corporal not Corporal, Gariaru, I apologise, finds the double there. Corporal died, unfortunately, for AXIZ a little earlier, but in the end it is a 3-for-1. The health bars are low, but they have got all the damage in the world to shred through this Baron.
I must credit Hatchemetcha. He landed some sick abilities on set there. Was able to get a 3-man stun at one point. Sadly, didn't have his ultimate up, so was unable to do that. Got a lot of the members of AXIZ rather low, but low is not dead initialized, so it doesn't matter. So whose ultimate gets cancelled here? Whose teleport gets cancelled? It's not Pink's, because Pink pops over on the other side.
Wow, that was a rapidly timed Shumpo to get out of that.
Wow, that was really surprising. Really lovely ultimate there from Gediadu. Pink just gets taken super low, super quickly. Karthus' ultimate comes down, even though Hoglet's not dead. He's just doing that for zoning purposes, and also just to try and get the members a little bit lower and try to kill. Oh, look at this here. And then watch Hatchemetcha on 0 HP, basically. Oh, they almost combo wombo. Problem is, the team of AXIZ are just doing so much damage, and yet that Proto Belt takes rid of so many of them. Hatchemetcha does get away with his own life, and padding his stats out to 1, 2, and 6. In all fairness to them, are dealt a lot of damage, but it was not enough when you have Gadiadu and then Hoglet And then Eunyan just outputting so much damage. Day one wasn't a huge impact in that fight, but it didn't matter. You got the rest of your team with you. That's all you need.
But that Katarina, that Fed Katarina got to do nothing in that fight, and if she put out just even a little bit of damage, would have been trouble. You can't get out of the cage, Cog, but he does survive for now, and now he's getting turned around. Eunyan does slay Pink, though, so maybe I've been made a liar. It's 1-for-1 right now, and Day One's over the back end of the fight. Gary Arrow just his punches away, and Hoglet, 1v3, is shoving the Jesters back. They've got Baron to their name. Eunyan died to get onto Pink.
There's just so much coming out from AXIZ. Where was this AXIZ? Where was my AXIZ? Where were they this whole time, initialized? We got them now. And as always, it's better to say late than never. It's sad that we won't be seeing either of these teams in playoffs. Obviously, I'm sad and slightly biased about AXIZ, but part of that reason is because they've just been playing so good since Super Week started. It's disappointing that this wasn't a team that was playing to this level earlier on in the split. They're going to be fighting around this dragon pit. It's this Cloud Dragon, so no one's going to be super wanting it. I mean,
it would be Cloud Soul for the Jesters, so they're looking like they will contest. And the last two fights have been really damn close. There have been some low health bars across the board for AXIZ, just not quite enough damage to finish things up.
They're giving Eunyan so much time to just walk down at the moment.
They are. And of course, remember, Pink, if he gets one good ultimate, the last few team fights can be forgiven. Corporal caught in place. Eunyan goes in, though, and that'll be the Galio on top. Now comes the combo. They're going to try and find most damage. Flashes out, stays alive, but Gary Arrow has already killed the Tom Kench. Hachimecha is running away. It's a double kill as Pink falls as well. 2-for-1 right now is the score in favour of AXIZ, as Rascal Jester have to retreat. Cog falls as well, and that will be 3-for-1, all things said and told, and they'll start shoving in. They didn't get all that much from the Baron power play, but with people dead, they'll finish up afterwards. It's just a slightly delayed one.
So Corporal did his job beautifully there, and I'll tell you what he did. He somehow got two people to ult on him. He baited the whole team to go into a very narrow area, and then at the same time, he just was like, that's cool, I don't mind. And then the whole time, just Cog at the top was just AFK hitting him. This was phenomenal from him. I'm really impressed by it.
Here we go then. AXIZ moving on to the Nexus turrets. They've killed enough people. It's exposed. They have all the damage in the world. And it means nothing for playoffs. All it means is pride. And AXIZ get the win over Rascal Jester, and they will not end the split dead last. They will push Jesters down to that ignominious spot. Too little, too late. But this time, AXIZ at least can end the split on a high point.
They looked really strong in this game. Came out to not the most ideal start, but to grab all our thoughts in one whole location. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be back with our desk.
And we're back. You get to see our faces as I randomly switch scenes towards the end of that game. It happens. We're here, and we are here to celebrate AXIZ finishing off their split. A sad split, but at least with a win. They end on 3-10. Rascal Jester sadly dropping to 2-11. Guys, I guess we need to talk about the one guy that was really pivotal for AXIZ to get this win. It was Hoglet on that Karthus.
Oh, yeah. That Karthus came out to a monumental early CS lead. He wasn't... Jesters couldn't really get anything before he hit level 6. And then once he hit level 6 and he got some items, he was up experience on his own solo laners who were already ahead in the game. That's kind of how far ahead he was getting. He was up massive amounts of items, and every team fight, that guy was putting out massive amounts of...
Okay, and of course that Karthus has been buffed in recent patches. That Q on the single target now has a 35%
mid.
Meant to be for mid lane. They downed that Q damage against monsters, but they upped his AP ratio in the hopes that his DPS would increase. And then they also downed his base movement speed. Oh no, they upped that again, and then they changed it so his Defile would always have mana regen, even when it was on when you're clearing mid lane. It was meant to help, of course, the mid lane. It can be flexed there in the bot lane, that's why it's there now. But Hoglet showing what it was worth in those team fights. Someone else showing their worth on a slightly more unorthodox pick, though, was that Katarina. Starting off 3-0. Pink made this match one to remember, even though it was a losing one.
So, yes and no. It was definitely an alpha pick, and potentially also Pink going, well, I don't know if I'll ever have an opportunity to play Katarina on the LJL stage again, or maybe for a while, depending on how Jester's, Pink, and his career goes and everything else. Yeah, why not? You're in an awful matchup. You're playing against a Galio, and yet you somehow still get to go 3-0 in the first main team fight that happens. He had to be feeling really confident about that. The problem is, as we identified in the pick and ban phase, this Katarina just has no chance in most team fights ever. 4 out of the 5 members have ways of displacing her and affecting her ultimate. The only person that doesn't is the one person called Hogwood, who we've already discussed could probably one-shot her. So, unlucky to Pink. Not the best comp, but still had a good first team fight. Fell off afterwards, couldn't carry, but me and Initialize didn't expect him to carry even after getting those 3 kills, I think.
And after, speaking of one-shotting potentially the Katarina, one person we did see that Karthus one-shot was Art's Senna in that mid lane fight, just landing single target Q after single target Q. But it was an awkward moment for Art, yes, but he was really trying this game, being the backbone of a lot of the team fights. Initialize, what did you make of Art on this Senna?
So, good early stuff versus day 1 was getting a lot of the HP trades, did manage to shove in and get first turret down there. All of that stuff was great. We had some questions about the build. The Black Cleaver felt a little bit unnecessary, I think is the way to do it. And like, obviously I understand it's a HP item and that's nice when you're trying not to get blown up by Karthus.
I can't use that.
But that's kind of it, right? It's not the easiest to stack up. There's not that much AD.
Dead man's plate.
Let me just go find something out.
Sorry.
Find what is the base armor of Katarina? Not very high at all. It's very low.
35?
It's pretty low. And if you're going to shred about 20-25% of someone's armor, you're going to get less than 10 lethality. I get that the Black Cleaver does give you tank shredding potential, but the only person building tank was the Nautilus. Just build a Dusk Blade, build a Ghost Blade, it gives you even more movement speed. Just get that. You lose out 20% CDR. That's okay.
You're a Senna.
You're a Senna. You already have move speed from your passive anyway. It's okay. Yeah, and I know that there's only so much you can go on about that. He still did a lot of damage. I think that Art has had a very unsatisfying split given how good he is. Is there anyone else you really want to touch on in these 2 teams before we start closing this out, guys?
Yeah, had he went super deep towards some of those later fights. It's like, okay, that was really deep. But bluntly, he was there basically to offer a vector in for Gariadu in particular to get into the backline. And basically, Pink was having a nightmare because once you are in the Hextech Ultimatum, you can't dash out. You are stuck in there. For this Katarina that was already having to be hyper aware of all the CC, when you're basically dancing around in a tiny little ring, you have no chance. And it meant that they were always starting fight with the Jester's 5. And yeah, Uenyan traded his life once or twice for it, but it was a really nice combo to make Jester's lives really hellish in team fight.
And so that leaves us here at the end of the road. We are here to having completed our coverage of the LJL's regular split for summer 2020. We'll have many more games to come in various formats. But guys, anything you really want to sign off this broadcast with?
We did it.
Hooray!
We did it. Summer split. We also did most of Super Week live. We've done far more live this split, and I'm really proud of I'm really proud of the 3 of us, honestly.
I echo that sense. It was really impressive to pull it off, get this far. A little bit more to go with playoffs, but regular season's done. Playoff game on the 5th, which I'm really looking forward to. Seeing the Hawks versus DFM should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I got that tiebreaker yet to come. So we will sign things off from the 3 of us. So from Lexi, from Initialize, and myself, of course, it has been a pleasure to bring you the LJL, at least in this regular split, and we will see you so very, very shortly. Good day, good night, good evening, wherever you are, we'll see you soon.